That's a wrap of the Timberwolves season as they drop Game 5 in Denver against the Nuggets by 3 points. And that's the end of this first season of Pulse of the Timberpups 2 of these recap videos of every Timberwolves game. Predicted Nuggets in 5, which is what we got. And as I've kind of said through a lot of this year, I'm tired of being right with this team. Most of my thoughts and expectations have been pretty pessimistic, except for some certain individuals such as Anthony Edwards, who drops 29 points in this one, had really great playoff games in all except for Game 1. Was absolutely pleased to see another installation of playoff Anthony Edwards, but the overall direction that this team took with the changes in the offseason going to grab Gobert were just certainly a negative. Although in this game, I will say we were missing Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, and Kyle Anderson slow-mo, who is the most recent scratch for this one as he got scratched in the eye. So the Wolves were far from full strength going into this series, and that was the case most of this season. But I think I've seen enough where we need some big-time changes, and we need to reassess our priorities of what the team was going into this year and our focus throughout this year. I do plan on making some full season kind of recaps and sum-ups that will be coming out later and not in this video in specific, because this one's just supposed to be about the game. We saw Nickeil Alexander hauling his ass on defense yet again, chasing around Jamal Murray, who was spectacular shooting the ball, but you can't say it was from a lack of effort from Nickeil whatsoever. I thought the Wolves' effort through most of this game was really good. It was just offensive stagnation and details that really got at him, which has been kind of the theme of this team in the second half of the year, and especially in the playoffs. There were some times where both of our bigs gave us some nice moments. Karl Anthony Towns had a strong offensive second half, and Rudy Gobert had some really good defensive stretches, and also our big-to-big passing was also pretty solid at the start of the fourth quarter, where Anthony Edwards was on the bench, and that actually kept us afloat while we didn't have Ant to carry our offense at that time. But they would also have some deficiencies as well. Each of them foul out in this game, and there were critical stretches to close the game where we were giving up tons of offensive rebounds, especially Gobert and his man with Aaron Gordon getting a lot. Wolves would also get out-rebounded by 7, and that was one of the biggest detriments to this team, was we were a terrible rebounding team throughout the year. One of the worst in the NBA, despite our big lineups. And that was certainly not an issue that the addition of Gobert did anything for. Maybe you gotta take a look at the coaching staff, as we still have the problems of rebounding, stagnant late game offense, blowing leads, and the same immature traits shown from especially Karl Anthony Towns and other players on this team. So maybe if the personnel switches and the problems are still there, might be coaching. But I will say in the circumstance of our two big men, Rudy Gobert and Cat, I don't put that as much on coaching. They haven't really played up to the standards that you would want them to meet this season, and the consistency hasn't been there from Cat, and Gobert has just been kind of a shell of himself in Utah. Although overall, I thought Gobert played a lot better in that playoff series than Cat, who was really unreliable. Another thing that you cannot rely on is NBA officiating being even close to okay. It was insufferable in this game, and I gotta say, Scott Foster can suck a fucking cockster, because that dude is so fucking atrocious. It's so clear the biases he has against players. Anthony Edwards is just like scorned and oppressed by these fucking officials. It happened all year long. He drove more than anyone in that game by far. Only gets 4 free throw attempts, saw so much contact on practically every drive. It was absurd how he was handled this game. And then meanwhile, Denver is just getting fucking free throw attempts when they are not getting touched. They get 11 more attempts from the line tonight, and that showing from the insecure rhymes was just disgusting. Genuinely think the NBA would be better off if they fired every single one of their officials and started from scratch. They're beyond saving a lot more Expira sense out of those sucks than experience, and they don't deserve their jobs. They were a heavy negative towards the Wolves this game. Not saying that the Wolves would go on to win this series had that not been the case. Just another rant I want to get through because they fucking suck. Alright, I think that's how we're going to end the first season of Pulse of the Timberpups. I guess is on that note. I don't have too much more to add. I feel like that game, that series, it's just been kind of a continuation of what was a bizarre and disappointing year. We got a lot of great individual pieces. The full structure of the team sucks ass. Gotta change it up. Let's see what happens next year. I guess that's it. We'll figure it out. Well, knowing the history of this team, likely not, but who knows?